good evening, where you are. Um, it's morning for me. And we kind of, with Fusion going on, we kind of stalemated with our weekly updates and AMAs. So we want to kick back that on a regular basis in a more, the time that we're all comfortable with, right? So, we're hoping that this is back to that clear schedule of having an updates on where what the team behind the scenes are doing, getting feedback from the community, and just keeping you guys posted into what's coming along. So the agenda today is that Ken and his team would have his financial reporting for the end of the year last year, and as we go into the last 2 months, so he will have like a small presentation on that. I will also speak about some of the marketing updates. We just recently launched Fusion, the website. So we're just going to have a chat about that and what's next to come. Then Ken and Jamie will speak about Fusion and then the next steps for there. And then Jim has some community updates, right, about some things that we have noticed and some changes that we're going to make. And yeah, then we will leave it open-ended for any questions, any comments, anything that we can chat about as a community. So I now pass it over to Ken and his presentations.
Thanks, Amresh. So again, good to see everyone, and great to see all the Fusion PFPs in the audience. So like Amresh said, two things that I'd like to cover today. It's getting a bit late here, so I'll kind of get through my stuff, and maybe I might take some questions on my pieces first, and then kind of hand it over and turn in for the night. So first of all, in terms of financials for the project, with Fusion and kind of having all hands on deck, we didn't get the proper chance to talk through the numbers for the past couple of months. And not to say that the accounting hasn't been done. Aldrin, our head accountant, completes all of the financials usually within the first 7 to 10 days of each month. So, that's something that I have disclosed to the team, and we've discussed and looked through it and thought about it. But we haven't had the proper chance to bring that to the community. So I'm going to do that right now and share my screen. Okay, so my screen should be sharing now. This is kind of a very short PowerPoint presentation slide covering the main relevant numbers for November and December of last year. Now, I guess kind of quick overview or quick look at the financial position in terms of assets for the project. As of November, roughly 1,500 ETH across crypto cash equivalents. So this is ETH and USDC, and investments in NFTs that we hold. And from an income statement perspective, it, to be frank, was a challenging month. And I think you have to sort of think back at what the situation was then. And we were pretty much just coming out of the FTX collapse. And with the poor market conditions coming out of that, there were some consulting launchpad type projects that we were hoping to come through that didn't, got pushed out. And I think that led to this sort of result for the month. So essentially what we had from a revenue perspective was a total of 29 ETH inflows. That was composed of royalties of roughly 6. And I think this is a trend that we've seen for the last 3, 4, 5 months since we entered the bear market, that royalties is very, very insignificant part of the revenues that are coming to the project now, just with the amount of volumes and the floor price of being where it is, it just doesn't generate much revenue, in addition to the fact that a lot of trading is happening on platforms that aren't paying royalties back to PG. Launchpad consulting work brought in roughly 23 ETH. This was across 3-4 projects, and I guess at the time that wasn't a Launchpad project per se, but more sort of consulting arrangements with various projects, with Our Planet being one of them, and a few others that we continue to work with. From an expense side of things, the major expenses that we had for the month, as always, is salaries. Is a big chunk of that. We did go through a big cost-cutting, salary-cutting exercise a few months before this, and that continued through November, December, into now. And what we did after that cost-cutting exercise was to add some dev headcounts. So the dev internal headcount is costing roughly 10 ETH a month, and the aim of doing that was to kind of do more, or as much as we can, in terms of development in-house, instead of paying external developers to do some of the work that we need to do. The next kind of largest piece is non-recurring expenses. Just kind of gonna quickly refer to my notes. And in November, largely driven by dev work, right? So this was Fusion and tool related. Fusion, in this particular case, that dev work was outsourced. So that was kind of a chunk of the expense there. And the next biggest piece is marketing. And this is kind of back when we were doing NFT Fest in Melbourne. Expenses were tied to our sponsorship of the event, in addition to kind of a lot of the marketing and merch that we did to kind of promote PG in Melbourne and kind of the Web3 space in Australia in general. And what that really led to overall is a loss of 98 ETH for November. In December, we kind of have a slightly better picture. From a revenue perspective, probably roughly similar to the previous month. Total ETH coming in is 25. Royalties were higher, and I think this was attributed to the increase in volume leading into Fusion. But having said that, royalties doubled, but still it's not a significant amount of ETH that's coming to the project. And the rest of it was driven again by kind of consultancies that we were doing for various projects. And then from an expense perspective, again, salaries kind of make up the big chunk of it. And from a non-recurring expense perspective, again, this was mostly dev work related to the lottery product that we've kind of talked about, that we're working on and hoping to release sometime later this quarter. So in addition to the financials, what's probably also worth mentioning is in December, after kind of a lot of internal discussion within the team, and also with a group of some of our kind of biggest holders and influential members of Genesis, we had a big discussion on whether at that point in time it was prudent to either keep a lot of our vault in ETH or to swap it to USDC. Kind of after providing a lot of analysis on how that affected our runway, and sort of looking at that point in time at the kind of macroeconomic situation, the decision that was made, and again, kind of given the community input, we decided it was prudent to swap a large proportion of our vault to USDC. So that was approximately 500 ETH that we swapped at that time. And that was done at an average price of roughly $12.50. Of course, in hindsight, looking at it now, not ideal, and it kind of hurts a little bit to think that we could have done it at higher prices. But what I would say is that the primary goal of doing that at that point in time was to make sure that we had a runway that we could rely on. ETH is very volatile, and it was something that we really weren't comfortable gambling on. If ETH had fallen back to 600, 800, then we would have been in a really difficult spot. So again, hindsight's 2020, and yeah, we would have loved to have swapped at 1500, 1600, but be as that may, I think we still feel comfortable in the decision that was made back in December. With that, so that kind of covers the financial bit of it, and maybe at this point in time I might kind of have a quick look at the questions, if there are any. Red beans bad, yeah, that's right. Fellow banker. Yeah, so I don't really see any big questions coming up, so we'll move on. Yeah, I wanted to kind of give a quick update on Fusion. Obviously, was a tremendous amount of work that was put in from the dev team and from ourselves. Obviously, things didn't go as smoothly as we had hoped, but I hope also that we did our best to address the concerns of the community and resolve things as best as we could. Oh, there seems to be a bit of an echo. Oh, okay, we're good. Yeah, so, kind of after the initial mint, we kind of went to a 2-day pause, did a ton of work in the back end to make sure everything worked once we restarted it, and at the same time, tried to address all of the issues that came up as they presented themselves. So, made as best as I could, kind of addressed refunds for re-rolls, for where people had purchased whitelist over Jira Exchange, made sure that if that didn't carry through for whatever reason, that they were refunded as well. For those that had problems minting with Ledger, then we kind of moved their wallets to the hot wallet and whitelisted those where we could. So kind of all this stuff, not the smoothest of experience, and I think the main learning for us is that the next time that we do any of these sorts of product launches that we do from time to time, that we spend the, I guess, necessary and appropriate more amount of time testing, right? I think this is a lesson that we've seen over the course of the past few launches that we need to do more and more of. It's sort of always a balancing act between kind of meeting deadlines and expectations of the community and delivering a product, and at the same time trying to do our best to deliver a good product. So that's something that we're going to take away and try and do better on in the future. Now, in terms of the DAOs and the factions, just wanted to first of all acknowledge the first steps that have been taken towards the setup of those. So first of all, the Discord roles and channels that have been created. So thanks to G and to Awin for getting that done. And I've been kind of truly impressed by the evident self-organization that's been happening without any intervention from the team. And from each faction, Legion, Sentinels, Renegades, I've seen Twitter banners being created, Twitter pages, Twitter community groups, Google Sheets, Trellos, and all these things being pulled together. In some cases, Twitter Spaces to discuss future plans, and it's super great to see the initiative that's kind of being taken by the potential future leaders of these factions, and just looking forward to seeing more and more of this in the coming weeks. So just to kind of set expectations of what's going to come next is what we'd like to try and do over the coming week is to roll out a more concrete roadmap on exactly what is going to happen next. Some of the infrastructure that's still required, so kind of voting systems, etc., and exactly how we think that the DAO election process or the DAO leader election process is going to happen. So more to come on that, and yeah, that's something that we'll be kind of hard at work at. With that, just kind of quickly reviewing the questions. Don't really see anything. So maybe, Jamie, I might kind of prompt you to jump in here and kind of give your thoughts and feelings of how you are seeing how Fusion went and how the DAOs are rolling out.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ken. So yeah, basically, Fusion is something that we just didn't come up right now, or it's something that we planned like a couple of months ago and decided to fuse and all those things. We had this idea back in even February last year or January, sometime before the gentleman. The main idea that Sean and me and team discussed was to, make this. Try make this deflationary collection as a Gentoo, and then let's try to do create this smaller groups, and then we'll see maybe we can work because we launched our Genesis 333, and then it was like for us and then even for the members, I believe it was much closer relationship created, and it was easy to work together. Very tight knit in that sense. You get too familiar with each other, like quickly and all that. So that was one of the idea that we had, and then we tried to take this task of creating separate factions and things like that. Used to be named Titans, Platins, and then Hybrid and things like that, but now the name is changed. But the concept is still the same. We wanted to create this small tight knit communities that can work together. But by working means it's not just like we do mint something together to share alphas and things like that. No, we wanted to. By now, most of you, I think, know that the PG team is pretty experienced. Right, we're working together over a year now. We also very fortunate to get a lot of knowledgeable individuals that has Web 2 background and Web 3 background. They're very experienced, right? In a simple word, I would say PG teams stacked, and it's not like I'm trying to, talk, being proud or talk good thing about our team, but I do believe that this is one of the, very experienced team in a space. And also, I wanted to say that hardworking. I really mean it. Those guys behind the backstage, they do really hard work, right? They spend a lot of hours, a lot of efforts from their end, So it's just very at this stage we feel like we can share this knowledge with you guys even more, because there is something about, for me it's something about sharing knowledge, creating connection is like uh, intangible value that you cannot give with some money or airdrop or things like that. I know a lot of projects doing airdrops, gentleman this mint that mint or something, right? But we do believe that we can do give by sharing our knowledge and then our experience and give you guys guidance through this initiative. A lot of things that we do with PG is that we try new things. Again, with Fusion, we try to do the reroll and we try to certain different techniques and things like that. Obviously, when you try something new, there is always some kind of like roadblock and bumps happen. But if you in theory, if you don't practice, like if you don't try these things, you're never gonna realize the difficulties of it, and then finding ways to overcome is being always, or what's it called? I know it's kind of risky and sometimes taking new things, but I think this is space giving us this chance to do something new, something different than everybody else, right? So I do know that there is obviously a lot of cool things happening, a lot of projects that doing innovation, different things. But PG is different. Like I do believe we have our own identity. No two projects gonna be exactly the same. You can try, but it's just you who you are and what your team is and what your holders and all depend on those kind of things. So in a sense that I do believe we try to be innovative with our launches and all the other things that we try to do. Even some of the products that we're trying to do is like, we try to make something new and nobody has. You can just do whitelisting and tool and then, you know, maybe something that Lama's doing or other people doing, we can just do that, right? But not saying we're not gonna do those things, but we try to be uh, innovative. Like that's the spaces. You wanna innovate. You wanna, you know, create something different, something useful. Not just useful in Web two. Maybe you wanna build some product that useful for bridging Web two and Web three and things like that, right? So our real aim with Fusion is that to create this kind of mentality within our holders, within our groups. I do believe it's going to be easier when you work with lesser people, a tight knit community. So that three factions really ties nicely with that, I think. And I also do believe that our holders, also, even NFT space evolving every day, it just become evident and evident. People has more knowledge than let's say a month or two ago, right? Uh, yeah, there is a lot of teaching means happening and projects coming in and things like that. But there is this tendency to people really sticking with their conviction place, right? So what's your conviction? Obviously, is different. You like art, you like this and that. But I also do believe that all of us here in this space, maybe in PG community, most of us is very early. People talk about being early and being innovator and builders, but because based on data numbers, I think this space is like very early. This whole tech, Web3 technology, NFTs, like something that I don't even think like 1 or 2 or 5% of the world population is utilizing it properly, right? So, which means there is a good chance some really great products, some really cool things gonna come out of here, and kind of gonna be big influential on the market and everything, right? So I think we can, in that sense, I do think there is many of us here wanna to build together, invest together, do some cool stuff together. So let's not why not work together and help each other? You know what I mean? That was the whole concept of these three factions, and then having DAO, voting project within it, and then investing maybe, right? Maybe you don't want to be just the builder, or you don't want to be artist, or you can be early investor on your peer projects. If you find a team, if you find the guys that doing cool things, you can invest into them being part of Fusion and Gen2 as well, right? We don't wanna forget Gen2 holders. It's part of our ecosystem, and the Fusion is the new addition, right? Like I wouldn't call it another collection or something like that. There's a bit of confusion what's Fusion and then tier and things like that, but basically, Genesis are there. We know that there are the early investors and then OGs and all that. By now, I think Gen2 holders. But simply put, right? Think about individuals being fusing, so they have to give away their two Gen2s, which means they already heavily invested into this project, and then they have to send them to us and receive another NFT in return. In my opinion, that's like risk that they take, and this is extra risk. You trusting the team, you trusting the process, you'll be able to send your valuables, right? This is something that you bought somewhere, you minted, and it already has its floor price, its value. So, which means you guys are investors, like a big investor into our project, and then we do think you investing into this, which means you have an intention to be stick around, right? So so that's my just overall vision. I know we're doing a lot of like the things with the fusion. We have from PG team, PG side, we plan bunch of different things and all that, but I just feel like I need to maybe give my personal thought, what I'm thinking about, what I'm trying to do. And I mentioned in the chat yesterday, Legion group, that maybe a founder or developer, whoever, doesn't matter, right? Once you are part of this DAO, you're part of DAO. So you just one of the holder, right? Pretty much. So I think everybody should understand that, and I'm gonna try my best to contribute as equally as to the DAOs I'm part of, but I'm still too part of PG. So we're gonna do our side and our organizing and helping all those things. So in that sense, I'm pretty excited about what's happening right now with the groups. There's this self-organized groups that Ken mentioned, reducing small initiatives and things like that. But I also do believe that those two factions and PG as a whole, we can create some really cool things together. It's really gonna become self-sustaining ecosystems, like maybe mini systems that can show examples to each other and support each other. Fusion doesn't mean they're supposed to compete. We start seeing that this Twitter competition and like kind of thing. But it's cool. It's cool to have this kind of experience together and then see where we go, right? So it's very early on. Again, as a project, PG is still building. We would like to build things in silence and things like that, but you know what I mean. So I yeah. So final thought, I would say, I think PG as a whole, you guys here, um, and our team, everybody who's here, I think we're all together building towards long-term products and long-term things, right? So in that sense, I do believe Fusion has a great chance and PG has good chance to do very good things in the future, and we're gonna be around. So that's the thought process on Fusion.
Jamie. Yeah, I think
Hello?
as well to Ken for you know letting us know where our financial statements are. Because one thing to also remember, thanks. That's one thing we also have to remember as well is that as a project we're here for more than a year, right? And I think that's a substantial win on its own. And knowing that we're still building out new things that's for the benefit of all holders, those are the kind of things that gives us the motivation to keep building out for the holders themselves. So the aspect for can you guys hear me? Oh man.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. But just want to interject one thing. So, yeah, in terms of runway, which I didn't touch on exactly, and when we were looking at back in November and December, when we made this decision to do that big swap, was that kind of roughly we have about 18 months worth of runway with kind of a zero revenue expectation. So we're not going anywhere, and it's a number that we look at very, very carefully. So, as we kind of move along, and if we see that, the market might be longer than we thought it might be initially, then, look to cut expenses more. And we're sort of at the same time laser focused on different ways in which we can either bring money into the project or look at ways in which we can creatively spend less money and at the same time create things. So in some cases, that means we're partnering more closely with our dev teams and kind of taking risk together with them while creating these products, while not necessarily having a big upfront outlay to kind of pay them to develop it for us on our behalf. So that's something that we spend a lot of time thinking about, and that's kind of my primary job, to ensure that we're here for the long run, and we're able to build this business that's going to be here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and hopefully get to this kind of billion-dollar company. That's a dream. Sorry, Amresh. I'll hand it back.
No, thanks for that, man. Yeah, that's the goal, right? So one of the questions as well is how do we intend to, work on getting that net loss into positive, right? And those were all of the products we're building out this year is, the intent is to have a revenue stream system, and with that we can have the aspect of building back revenue into the system through multiple different streams. So that's the goal of what we're trying. Let me go into the marketing updates, right? So you'd have seen some of the product launches that we had over the last couple of months. We had the aspect of the of Fusion, right? And we did as much as we can of explaining Fusion in a meaningful way. We did a basically like a month-long campaign of different Medium articles. Okay, let me try to change my mic. I realize the mic is this here. Just give me a moment.
You guys are so bad. Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. Yeah, so back to what I was saying is that we came through a month-long marketing campaign for Fusion. We tried our best to demonstrate in a meaningful way, in a digestible way for what's to come for Fusion. And in between that as well, we launched the website, right? So, the website was our first attempt at solving that informational gap of getting access to information for holders, right? Because we know that Discord, we have so much to offer, and then you find new people coming in, or even existing holders don't know exactly how do I know what I'm entitled to, what's the new updates, where can I learn more about new projects, new products coming out of the PG ecosystem. So the current website is the first attempt at that, right? Just to give people an idea of what it is as a project we have to offer. And with that, one of the big things in there, we also first created our sales stream for our launchpad. So in there, you can be able to, any prospective project founders or, people that want to use some of the services that PG has to offer. With that, they now have a direct access where it goes straight into the launchpad team of vetting these projects. And with that, they can, make a decision if we want to take them on board or not. So with that in mind, that's our first attempt at that. The second rule of the iteration of the website is that we want to make all of the offerings that PG has for holders more accessible, right? So things like, getting direct access to what is your benefit as a holder, what's further coming, and basically, replicating what our notice board looks like. So we're doing that in a very meaningful way of building a user experience that holders would be comfortable and excited about. So right now we're in the process of that for getting it in a way that every user has a unique experience, but also that new people as well can understand as a project why they should buy into this ecosystem. So that's something that's pretty exciting because we haven't, through our research, there's not, much projects that have that with the kind of quantity that we have in terms of what holders are entitled to, both from a Web3 and even a Web2 perspective, access to different things in Web3, access to different things in Web2, and then even with what the projects are building out. So that's the next iteration of the website. Thus far, we have done the user experience design, the wireframe design. The next step is the front end and getting that out. So, we're looking at within this first quarter for sure to rolling that out. And I think that would be us chipping away at this problem that we know, which is that, how do I know more about what PG has to offer? So that's the update for the website and where's to come. So currently we have finished the cycle of the website, the cycle of Fusion. Our next cycle that's coming in is finally our merch, right? So our merch is ready to go. It was ready to go since the end of last year, but because of Fusion and because of some things that we have we wanted to roll out, we think that now is the best time to get it in between cycles. So you could look forward to getting that starting the marketing campaign for merch. And it'll be our first collection of what we have. And this year we want to have much more lines, right? Where, it appeals to different aspects of where our design and style is, right? We have some big partners that we're working on as well, and we want to get that out to you this year. So we can have, we're not going to be that type of project where every other week we have a new merch line. But at the same point in time, merch itself is a representation of who we are, and because of that, we felt that at the end of the day, holders need to flex of where they see this project going. So our next cycle is getting that merch out. We have a merch partner on board. They will be doing all of the business inquiries in terms of purchasing, in terms of the shopping experience and delivery. We're using Shopify, so therefore, it's not just in payable in crypto, but also payable in fiat. and we have that in there, right? So that's the aspect of it. Yeah, we were thinking to leak some merch. Not too sure yet. So, but you can definitely see it upcoming this week. For that, right? Definitely, DJ. We have that special request for you as part of it. You just have to let us know when you're on the site, so we can get that out to you. Yeah, so that's next to come in the SAM campaign. And then we have, we have a very ambitious plan of launching, Shan mentioned all of these, looking at the roadmap, all of these products for this year. So we'll be, constantly having updates on that and constantly working behind the scenes of that. And this ties back into what Ken demonstration is that a project that's been here more than a year, we're still innovating, we're still building out those products. Thanks, Jazz. Still those products and still still being relevant and competitive in the space. So, those are the kind of stuff that we really want to be working on. This week as well, we had the updates from AlphaShock tools, right? So our holders get access to that, and they will have, everybody has claimed their airdrop. So hopefully that's gonna be a nice cook for us. And yeah, it's all about, that representation of rice, right? All of us getting into that rice, and that itself can be a leak on its own. So, just I guess just, let us know exactly where, what challenges that you guys think that we can be improving on. We can definitely go that. So in terms of the marketing campaigns, right, we have a very, strong team with respect to that, and we're getting that out there. And it's a work in progress with the amount of products that we're launching and the amount of products we're investing into. But I can say from the background that we have some pretty exciting products that we want to deliver this year, and the goal of the team is to get that informational gap solved so that holders know exactly where we are at and what it is that we have to do. So that's the main goal of marketing. So the just to recap is we came from the cycles of Fusion, we came from the cycle of the website. We want holders to use the website more, share the website around for people who wants to know about PG, who wants to get access to our launchpad systems and ecosystems. We have four aspects of consultancy in there that people can get access to. So you can look at the website for that, and then this is just the version 1. There's going to be a version 2, and then we're going into the cycle of the merge campaign. So really excited to see what you guys think about the merge designs. We have built a focus group around the merge, right? So we're learning from our past, and we consulted with this group in terms of what's the direction of the project, and how do we get merge to match that. So we did through that entire process. We got some very exciting feedback on that, and now we're in the process of ready to go forward with it. So yes, DJ, you're not in every focus group. So yeah, so that's the next step of where we're going. So just to keep you guys posted on that. Okay, let me read this question. As business move forward and build its own brand, is there more discussion about return to investors similar to dividends, other than the opportunity to fusion fractions, Tier X? Yeah, so I want to leave this question to Ken. I don't know if you want to tackle that question from Adiz.
Sorry, just reading it. As the business moves forward and builds its own brand, is there more discussion about return to investors similar to dividends? Look, so this is a tough question to answer, and something that investors in the NFT space have always struggled with and asked a lot of questions about, right? So very strictly speaking, you cannot give dividends to NFT holders, because if you did, that would make it a security, and NFTs are not securities, right? If they were, then they would need to come under the regulation of each country's securities regulators. In the United States, that would be the SEC. That's the Securities and Exchange Commission. Right, so that's a very high hurdle we need to cross in order to do that. Having said that, are there ways in which potentially in the future we might be able to do profit sharing, or that we might be able to do some sort of IDO and token distribution? Yes, there might be. How exactly we go about doing that is something that we've been thinking very hard about, are consulting lawyers and I guess other experts in the field in order to come to some sort of conclusion. I guess I probably would also say that if we were to compare a startup like PG to other startups, it takes a long time before any company is able to pay dividends. If you looked at Tesla, for example, or other high growth tech companies, it takes a long time before the company is in a mature enough state that they aren't reinvesting profits into the company before they can start redistributing dividends to holders. So that's, I think, a long-term process. We need to make sure that PG is able to grow first and become kind of a mega company before we think about this, right? If we can do that first and at the same time deliver value to holders, which is one of the core kind of responsibilities and core values of PG as a project, then this will kind of naturally happen. Hopefully that sort of addresses your question.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ken. Okay, let me see if I have any more questions before we go on to the next speaker. Yeah, it's something that we definitely think about these, right? It's not something that we just don't think about. It's that, we just want to make sure to do it the right way to protect everyone around, what's the best way so that, at the end of the day, one, we don't get shut down, and two, that there's some return of the investment. So that's what Ken is saying, that, we're speaking to the lawyers about what's the best way to get that done. Josh, there's a second question there, Ken, about the Giract.
Girax, what's the future use for this besides the marketplace? Could you exchange it for ETH? So first of all, in terms of Girax, there are plans to have it be the kind of currency and token that will be used across our ecosystem. So aside from the marketplace, there are many of the utilities and plans as per the roadmap that we released maybe a month ago, where we are intending to and building out use cases and utilities for GRX. In terms of being able to change GRX back into ETH, no, that's not something that is going to be a feature in the short term. This is one of the main reasons why we went away from the ERC20 token in the first place, was to kind of get away from these potential securities issues, right? Yeah. We wrote about this in the Medium article, that there are many tokens are coming under review by the SEC, including Ape token, for potentially violating securities regulations. If these sort of issues were to come about and affect a project like ours, then effectively we go to zero, right? As soon as the government and the regulators come after you, then that's really not a result that we want to see happen. So, my personal experience, I used to work in the finance and banking sector. I used to have meetings and deal with regulators on a regular basis. So it's something that I'm familiar with, and I'm very conscious and careful about. So we need to understand all the risks that are involved, and it's not something that we take lightly.
Yeah, and it's more around that we won't be providing the avenues for that to happen, but what happened between holders happens between holders, right? We have no control over that. So from our perspective, we just won't provide the avenues for those types of things to happen. Okay, so back to the agenda. Let's bring on G to have a discussion around what we have noticed and some changes we want to make with the community and the reasoning behind some of the direction of change. G?
Yeah. Thanks, Amresh. Yeah, so community updates. So I get regarding the airdrops for the purchases of Gen 2 that were above 4 ETH. All of those have been made. I think there's a few more recent entries that need to be verified and airdropped, but yeah, if you filled in the previous form of the airdrops related to the purchases above 4 ETH and you haven't filled in the second form and conducted the trade, then go ahead and do that so we can I guess get the process moving forward, because there's more entries in the previous form than there is in the ones that have made the trades. But yeah, that's that. And regarding the alpha, so the Jira cookout has been, obviously, as we all know, absolutely killing it in all aspects. I think it's a very marketable channel, because yeah, I mean, the way that it's spoken about, obviously it's not directly alpha, it's more so of an alert channel, which I think works a lot better for how people trade. But I've been talking to Awen regarding a profit and loss bot. Some of you may know, we've been in talks with other projects that want to offer us their profit and loss tool, but we want it to be PG branded. So Awen is currently in the works of that, so that we can we can get the needed information, like the average buy price, the average sell price, the potential profit and loss from trades that people are making through the Jira cookout, or maybe through Tartar's whitelists or the collab whitelists, or even things like the recent meme coin alpha channel that's been opened up. I think it's very marketable. I think we can use it for things like Twitter. We can replace the text that gets put into the Rise Success and just create PG branded graphics out of that. And we've seen it do wonders for other projects that market their product with these sort of graphics. So hopefully we can get that out as soon as possible. But Awen is definitely in the works of that. So, but yeah, I guess recently we've just been very, very tunneled onto Fusion and ensuring that we can get everything done as smooth as possible. But in the meantime, I've seen some concerns coming from the community, and if I sort of just rounded them up to a couple. If there's any main concerns that you guys feel that I might have missed, or you think that should need to be discussed, feel free to pop it into the chat and we'll address it. But what I took from the recent concerns was that number one, I think we have a large ecosystem, so I think a lot of people feel that it needs to be balanced, which I agree, in the sense that internally the access to the server, if we compare, and this is just being completely transparent to what I've been seeing in the chat, is that if we compare Gen 2 and Jiraverse with the access that they get internally, it's that people don't see, I guess, they don't see reasoning into holding their Gen 2, for example, right? So, and I see where you guys come from in the sense that if people were to enter the PG ecosystem, they feel like the Gen 2 collection has been devalued. It's in the sense that Jiraverse has the same sort of access, where it's not necessarily true, but I do hear what you guys are saying in the sense that Gen 2 will always be up in the air for early access to products or tools or anything that's in development by PG. Gentoo will always be guaranteed to have these sort of early benefits. But if we're talking internally, which a lot of people focused on, which a lot of people are focused on, I think I do see where you guys come from. So we're looking for ways to work around that, and we've been speaking about that recently. And I think what we can do, I think it makes sort of sense to put that balance in our ecosystem and create some sort of systems and structures around this. So with Jiraverse itself or Jiravox, we're thinking about, and this isn't just to completely remove access. I think someone's hot micing, just a moment. Yeah, this isn't completely to remove access from Jiraverse, but we just want to stress that Jiraverse was created to be our long-term metaverse-related play, and we'll always be working toward that for Jiraverse. But we do need to have a balance in the ecosystem, and we still want to give added benefits to Jiraverse and still make you guys feel a part of the PJ ecosystem. For example, with our tools that are coming out, which is currently being rebranded and vamped with additional features, and it's being worked on. And once we release these tools, we can implement a whale role for the Jiraverse, or a certain role for the Jiravox holders, where if you hold a certain amount of Jiravox, a number to be determined, but this can give you full access to the tools. But just holding a Jiraverse or Jiravox will give you a certain amount of access to the tools. And so, so if you guys are hot micing, just if you don't mind muting. But if so in saying that, we'll give Jiravox access to the tools, full access with a certain amount of holdings within the collection, and then we can implement a sort of structure where, with this certain role that we create, which consists of you holding this many NFTs in the Jiravox collection, then we can implement access to to our alpha channels, which you guys might not get moving forward after this AMA with just holding one. And so, in doing this, we can implement a reward system possibly where we do bi-weekly giveaways for these people that have the role in the Jiravox collection. And so this way, it's not to cancel out Jiravox, cancel out any access from the ecosystem. It's just more so creating a balance, and also just sticking to our roots, where when we did release Jiraverse, it was mainly to be a it was mainly a metaverse long-term related play. And so that's what we want to stick with. So hopefully you guys feel that balance within the collections. And I felt I got a lot of feedback about the meme coin alpha channel, for example, and hopefully this, it makes sense and it's a resolution for you guys. But yeah, that was one thing. Another thing I was getting feedback about was that not necessarily our communication, but I guess the structure of our communication. So I guess people aren't always active all the time. We had plenty of announcement channels, chat channels. It was pretty overwhelming in the server. I agree. I think it's a lot cleaner now. But yeah, I think the structure of our information is just, I think, maybe a bit overwhelming for people, which I agree. And I think a lot of it gets lost, and you have to do a lot of searching for information, and that's being worked on, as Amresh spoke about the website and what he's the direction he's going in with his team in the marketing area. But we do want the website to act as a central hub of info, and once it's been fully implemented, I'll make sure that in the Welcome to PG channel, we'll make sure that there's a graphic that directs you to the website, and tells you what the information consists of, so that it's clear as to what information will be on the website and what will be internal in the server. But yeah, I do agree with the structure of communication needing to be, I guess, structured properly in the sense of people able to find information quickly and accessibly. For instance, I bought the Duravox because of the current benefits that totally defeats purpose based on the idea that. Well, that's the thing. When Duravox or Duraverse was released, we didn't necessarily promise alpha channels within the server, or that wasn't a utility that was actually meant to be put in place for the Duravox collection. It was actually, we did state that it was going to consist of land and a voxel, and it was going to be a metaverse play that we're going to be working on long term, which we definitely are, and we don't want to completely cancel you guys out of the ecosystem, and that's not what we're trying to do. So I'm not trying to defeat the purpose of your purchase. I mean, if you're a trader and you're into tools, we're still willing to give access to the tools, and then with a certain amount of holdings, full access. So we're not. I mean, it's not meant to be a cancel. It's meant to be a balance within the ecosystem. When Duravox was released, there was never a promise of alpha, etc., etc. That was more so the agenda that was pushed on us, and us being, with complete transparency, I think a bit too lenient, because at the end of the day, we do need a balanced ecosystem, and it's that simple because, we are a large one, and yeah, we just, I guess it's just how it has to work. The team started Dura Cookout or Alpha Channel together with the Gen 1s, Gen 2s. The purpose is to help Duravox holders to earn some rights and event. Yeah, so it's not that. So we have kept it open for plenty of time for the Duraverse holders because we've been speaking about this for quite some time. But in the meantime, we've kept it open for quite a while, which has given a lot of leeway and time for people to flip their way to whatever they want to flip to. And I'm just speaking practically because if you look at the profit potential, and this is really why I want to get the profit and loss bot going, is because you won't see how visible. I mean, the opportunities have been there for a while, but now when we look at the reaction of the community and how people feel about their investments, if you're talking about your investment and how I'm defeating the purpose of your purchase, we also have to think about Gen 2, and how they would feel when they, and it's not necessarily that's all that Gen 2 gets. If you own a Gen 2, you still get access to products, tools, development, like whatever's in the pipeline. Gen 2 is always in discussion of that, but people are also very tunnel visioned on the access that they get in the server, and we also have to think about Gen 2. So yeah, like Amresh said, there's an imbalance, and we simply have to create that balance. But keep in mind, this is, the sentiment around alpha and trading and calling has always been something that, Genesis and Gen 2 as well have always, we grew as a community around these sort of, like realistically, that's what we grew around these sentiments, right? We were good traders, alpha or callers, or people always had solid alerts that were genuine, and we always had a community based around this. But if we're going to sort of take away that value from Gen 2, then it just wouldn't make sense for the collection. So if we add a certain amount of holdings, let's say 15, or let's just give an example, maybe 15 for the cookout, or 20 for the cookout, 5 for full access to the tools, just an example, right? It's sort of, I mean, yeah, if you look at it realistically, it just gives that balance to the collections, and that's what we're trying to do. The point was to show what Gen 1 and Gen 2 chat were making to include new people to join the. Well, I wouldn't say it's gone wrong. I think the advertisement, I think what you're saying is right, King, but I think the advertisement's gone well because it's clearly the cookout is very high in demand, right? Everybody wants to see the cookout. The cookout is definitely cooking. But yeah, like I said, it's if we let this idle along, then, and we don't necessarily do anything about it, then it would be worse than than just, I mean, yeah, it would be worse than taking action now. So we definitely can't let it idle along, and the cookout is cooking. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean it's definitely not an advertisement gone wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. The cookout is definitely doing its job, and yeah. But yeah, if those were the main concerns that I sort of gauged from the community. I mean, a lot of the others are being answered in the forum channel. So if you guys have any other questions, you can just drop them in the is PJ lacking forum. But yeah, if there's anything else that you guys feel I missed, feel free to drop it here in the PG AMA chat. But other than that, that's what I gauged from you guys. So yeah, we're actively looking to, we're always actively looking to keep a balance within the communities, and I'm really happy to see the cookout do what it's doing, because yeah, I mean, alpha calling is one thing, but having alerts that put people's eyes on projects with a lot of potential profit if they make the right moves, I think is very valuable. So shout out to the PG Michelin chefs, and yeah, if anyone has any other questions, I'm gonna leave it here.
Okay, thanks for that, G. Right, so these changes will be rolled out soon, and then again, just as I mentioned before, is that it's a constant evaluation, right? So as time goes on and we see more imbalance, we will make the relevant changes, maybe to incorporate back the GeoVox. So it's us pivoting as we see fit in terms of what's the best for the project, right? Fusion happened. It's a brand new aspect of Gen 2s. We have to make the changes to accommodate, as we go along. So, it's not something that we will, be head fast on, and this is, as the project, we have to change to the tide. So, those are the things that we will make the relevant adjustments with and go with. So, G and his team with the mods and the alpha callers and the brand officers, these are the changes that we constantly look at to make those types of things, and what's the best way forward. I want to take some time to recognize Ryan from Treeverse, right? As you guys know, Treeverse has been a play of putting our feet in the play to earn aspect and the gaming aspect of Web3. And they have been doing substantial work, and they have been building out a lot of things. We found it's useful for him to come and just have a chat with the holders, let us know where he's at. Why is this beneficial for the space? Why is this beneficial for PG and our holders? And what's their next steps in terms of their rollout of the game? So Ryan, are you there?
Let me just close down the game. I'm playing with a couple of people at the moment. So you guys
maybe
might have
that's what
heard
you
of.
can stream.
Sorry?
I said maybe that's what you can stream.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just closed it.
share your screen, right?
Yeah, let me. Teshu, are you there actually?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm playing a game
Can
right
you
now.
share your screen and then I'll just give an introduction to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys might have probably seen it being mentioned on Discord and Twitter, but you might not know much about it. So obviously Gojira has an equity stake in Threeverse, and I just want to give a quick summary of where we are at and where we are headed to in the near future, because there's been quite a couple of developments. So just a quick summary of Threeverse. We've been working on this game for a year now. We started in February last year, and since the start, we've always had the vision of making something truly fun to play. If you look at Web 2 games like Valorant, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, Minecraft, a lot of these free-to-play games, or almost free-to-play games, they get tons of revenue stream, and it's mostly through the sale of cosmetic items, because that works only because the game is actually fun to play. Web3 games kind of did it the opposite way. There was a lot of focus on tokenomics at the start. People are kind of changing gears and they understand this problem now. So just a quick introduction to what Three is. It's a fast-paced and competitive turn-based strategy game. So you take turns to attack each other in 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 player versus environment formats. So if you like games like Hearthstone, Slay the Spire, Marvel Strike Force, Galaxy of Heroes, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you'll enjoy this game. So with it's a game that has a strong focus on cross IP compatibility. So for example, you can use your Gojira to fight a unicorn or a cool cat, whatever. So it's not just a game, it's also an infrastructure that provides immediate utility to a lot of NFT collections out there. So yeah, basically the game is ready, and unlike most Web3 game launches where the mint will kick off the development, Three is gonna be ready to be played at mint. And our mint is coming up in a month's time. We have this play to whitelist mechanic, which basically means if you want to get whitelisted, you just have to play. And we have a couple of tournaments. We've had 2 tournaments, and we have a third one coming up. There's been a bunch of prizes given out. There's like thousands of dollars, and we give out 9 Xboxes, 4 Project Gojira Gen 2s, Amazon gift cards, Discord Nitro, whatever. We've given so many prizes, and the third one's coming up. So we're just asking that if you are interested to check this out, it'll take only 10-15 minutes of your time. Just join the Three Discord, and you can sign up to join one of these tournaments and win all these awesome prizes on top of the whitelist.
Can you share a link for the game in the chat, Ryan, so that holders can have a look at the game and then join the Discord from there as they see fit?
Yeah, sure. I'll send the link of the game. So it's a web-based game. So you can play. You don't have to download anything. You can just play it on Chrome or Firefox, or Brave, whatever web browser you're using. So I'm going to send the link right now, and if you want to play the game without creating any accounts, or without spending too much time, you can just click on any of the accounts at the bottom. So we have 4 dev accounts basically. So they are pre-made accounts. And then if you really want to get into the tournament and all that, you just have to join the Discord, and I'm going to send the link to the Discord as well. Oh, Tashu said he tried to send the link and then he got kicked out. So am I allowed to send a link?
Well, you can send it to me through DM, and then I can share it, I think.
Very cool. Okay, Jamie, I'm sending it to you now.
Sure.
So I think we've got a couple of people in the crowd that has played the game before. I saw Don in here just now. Yeah, Don Pute. Gooden, obviously. Pete Stampin. So yeah, if you guys have like 10-15 minutes, we are available right now. Just come
Yeah,
to the
maybe
trip. We'll show
what
you
you
around.
can do, Ryan. What you can do, Ryan, is just maybe like live stream the onboarding process. How the gameplay works, and you just give like a live commentary of the game for the holders.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me just. I'm allowed to stream, yeah?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Can you guys see my stream now?
Yeah, it's there.
Yep, can see it.
Okay. So this is the main screen. You can use your profile picture to basically put it into this Mac, and it's a deck builder game. So here is my deck. We have like 70 cards right now, and on the right side is the deck with 16 cards. So I can, for example, swap this out. I don't want blue chip. I'll put in the Jira's barrier. So we've got a couple of cards that are they are specific to the community. So for example, there's this Wu card. This is from the Dorsch Pound. Ivy's Leech is from BBRC. Plight of Rue is from Rue Troop. And then we've got some Unicorn specific cards. So it's really
Can you
cross
explain?
IP compatible.
Can you
Yeah, sorry?
explain what's the purpose? Can you explain what's the purpose of the cards?
Yeah, so basically when you play the game, you are on the right side. This is my deck of 16 cards. And so I'll create a deck, I'll save it, and then I'll just find a match. Let me see if someone is online. Okay. So I'm gonna be battling Teshu now. So it's turn-based. So right now it's his turn. He's got a minute, and he just used this power card. Basically, if you can read it on the screen, it says that the first attack that costs 2 or less is going to be casted twice. And then there's the history bar over here. I can see what he just did. So he's bitch slapping me right now. Okay, so I've got all these options. I have 4 energy on the left, and I can these are the energy costs for each of the cards. And I have like 45 seconds left to make my decision. So I'm gonna give myself the Jira's barrier, and you can see the buff applied here. So basically with this, all damage will be negated. And I'm gonna end my turn. So Tashu, you can try and attack me, and all the damage is just gonna be completely blocked. But Tashu is doing a debuff now, so debuffs will land. And he's using a clumsiness charm. So with this on, basically if I attack him, there is a 50% chance that I might hit myself. So I'm gonna try. So it hit him, and this is a miss, so miss does 50% less damage. So interesting thing about this card, if you just saw, I gain 1 energy. That's one of the benefits of using that particular card in that instance. So there's quite a bit of strategy involved. It will take some time to... It's a game that's really easy to play. You just need 16 cards, and you can pick and choose really easily. Of course, it's easy to play, but not so easy to master. And you can see I just hit myself. So this is a 1v1 tournament. The previous 2 tournaments were held in this format. The next one that's coming up in 5 days, I think, it's going to be held in a 2v2 format. So in order to join this tournament, you just have to find a partner and fill up the registration form on our Discord. So I'm going to put this debuff on him just so that he can't heal himself. So each game usually lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, and we're gonna hold this tournament over the course of 7 days. And each day, well, actually more like 3 days, but we're gonna have 1 day in between each match day. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to unmute yourself and ask away.
Perfect. One of the questions I see in the chat is mobile friendly. I think you covered that. Do you have aspirations of going to mobile?
Yeah, for sure. Because this is built on the Unity client, so we going to mobile is not transitioning to mobile is not too difficult. Right now, our main target audience is of course the Web3 folk, because you have to use your profile picture in this Mac. But eventually, we want to move away from that and engage more of the Web2 people. And for that to happen, it has to go live on mobile, and we are in the middle of building that feature.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me see if there's any more questions in here.
So that's a crit.
I think we covered everything. So yeah, so this is Treeverse, guys. The aspect of it is, as Ryan is saying, they had to get access into that Web2 crowd in gaming with Web3 backing and Web3, stories of launch. So, they're doing a lot of substantial work there. We urge everyone to just, have a try of it, give their, because we're working so very closely with them, we have a voice in, their ears in terms of what changes they can make to make it better. So if anyone has any comments about little things like that of what we can do to improve it, definitely let us know. And Ryan is here in the PG server, so feel free to tag him, offer your suggestions. Yeah, they really worked well with the gameplay and the graphics, as you guys saw. They're doing a lot of work with that through Ruben and the Launchpad team and giving guidance for that. And we're helping them find the best way to get it out there as best as possible. So they definitely have our support, and that's something that we wanted to get our hands on it, but from the PG side of things, it may not require that significant investment for us. And working with Ryan and his team, who already has a lot of experience coming from the gaming sector, they've worked into a lot of big games in the past. And this is their entry into what it is they feel to be a good contender of gaming. So thanks for this, Ryan. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions for Ryan and his team, feel free to chime in and ask on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks,
so much
Ryan.
for
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, for coming. I just wanted to see if you have early alpha to our holders, maybe like with your mint coming. Do you have the details that you can share with, or you're not?
Yeah, are we allowed to
yet?
share the price and the amount?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, you can.
Okay, so I think nobody has heard of this before, so you'll be the first to hear it. The price we're looking at right now could change, but right now it's at 0.039 ETH, and the supply is 6666. Yeah, I've got 3 health. He's probably gonna kill me off. So thanks for letting us share this demo and this more about this game with you guys. It's been really a pleasure working with the Jira team, and we're just gonna go back and keep developing the game and getting ready for launch.
Sounds
Yeah,
good,
thanks as well.
Ryan. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to give you guys a recap of today's AMA, right? Starts with Ken and his team for the financial recording for November and December. He talked about some of the plans for the team there to get it more. Coming from my team and I, we talked about the marketing campaigns that we just recently concluded. What's next to come with the next cycle being merch, and the constant valuation of the website to improve that informational gap that exists between holders and what the team is building out. So that should be the next step of the aspect of it. Then we hear it from G and talking about that imbalance between Gen2s and the rest of the ecosystem. So we should have those changes implemented soon and look at the how that imbalance is being sorted, and work with all of the other communities that we have, or the micro communities that we have within the server, and provide value and benefits to each and every one of them. That's where we at with that. And then our equity partner Treeverse, Ryan came and gave a live demo of the game, and he shared the link so any one of us can partake and provide worthwhile considerations of what they can improve on, and anything they would like to see in it for a successful launch. We'll be working closely with them for that aspect of it. So those are the things that we're working on, and we would have out as soon as possible. And yeah, so we can leave it now open for anybody who wants to join chat, or the text chat or the voice chat, and if you have any questions for the team while they're here. And we will be more strenuous with keeping this AMA done at this time every week, and giving you guys updates of what we're building out and what to expect from the team itself. Yeah. Any questions, guys? You're welcome, Harry. Glad to see you made it. If there's no questions, I guess we could wrap this up. Next week we'll have Shan back here. Took a little time off for himself and his family, and so we gave him the time and space needed, as every one of the team, right? You still need that time. So coming straight out of, we felt that he needed some time off. And so next week he'll be back. He'll be back on board with these AMA, and giving you guys all the leaks. We can look forward to that. Have some stuff that we're launching soon. I mentioned the merch, but there's some other things that's along the way. So you can expect to get more information. We're working with for quite a few projects that offering certain benefits to PG holders, and we will have more information on that as we come along. We're working with them to get the best fit forward for that. So yeah, so I guess from this we can kind of wrap up this AMA. And thanks guys for coming and just being part of the PG ecosystem, and like we work our ass off and oh, I got the blame, but that's okay. I'll take the blame. Yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted on how everything is coming along. Thanks, guys.